Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, na number 2 day for number 3 month for the year 2022. My name na Capo Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief, Anti-Kidnapping Czar of the Ambazonian Governing Council, aka Sense Pass King.
You be very good woman for your fashion.
Welcome to our daily podcast, a program where they provide una information from the Governing Council, Ambazonian War Council. We also provide una truth, nothing but the truth, and critical information needed for our people as we navigate this journey of our independence. Fellow people of the British Southern Cameroon, good citizens of Ambazonia, the war as we know it, fundamentally they go through big change as Europe it be hit by war for more than 50 years for the first time in history. But first, we go start for inside La République du Cameroon. As teacher they protest for Cameroon till they never pay their salary. You go think say the comedy country, La République du Cameroon, you don't get enough comedy from there. Now the Minister of Territorial Administration for the colonial master of Cameroon, La République du Cameroon, Lapdog Atanganjipo, na he respond this for the media yesterday for Canada.
Et ces orientations du chef de l'État sont mises en œuvre par le premier chef du gouvernement. Donc, le Cameroun, sur la conduite éclairée de son excellence Paul Biya, président le chef de l'État, a les moyens de gérer les problèmes internes. Donc, les gens doivent faire confiance au gouvernement. Et bon, il y a quelques revendications. Je crois que le président nous a mis en place un comité qui se penche et qui s'est déjà penché. Et puis, les gouverneurs, les préfets vont faire des rapports.
So, for person we need to hear very well, La République du Cameroon, they never pay teachers them for a very long time. Teacher they do a sit-in protest all over their country for unpaid wages. They don't interview their minister for if you talk say government go pay the teacher their money where they owe them. It talk na say thanks to the head of state he get capacity for solve all problem. The prime minister, the office he done create committee for look into the matter for a simple problem for pay teacher them, not just for simply pay them. This one na the type of canker worm we dey for Africa, a decaying system that has no accountability, no hope for pragmatic problems. A country where it has spent billions upon billions for host and entertainment football tournament, yet it no get money for pay its own teachers them, where they provide essential services that are needed for any country for prosper. If anybody need any additional reason for know why Ambazonia they run away for any association with La République du Cameroon, this is one. We will also go back for the capital city of Buea, the capital of Ambazonia, where since the beginning of 2015, every year La République du Cameroon, their Kangaroo Council, it pass budget for build market, for construct central market for inside Buea. It can be for 2021. They will vote and adopt a bill where it pass 2.8 billion colonial currency for construct Buea central market. The market is CB as the market it will be over 10 years ago. You the year na only billions the way they don't chop them for that project. Why poor trader then lack even loan for their credit union for start business. The Cameroon colonial administrator them, the chief whip them, where they run the plantation of the Ambazonian colony. They live large, they chop fat every single day. The children of the common market people, they no get hope even for pay school fees. They no get no future. The poverty and hardship it day on them. Why money where they allocate them for them every year and year, they end up for private bank accounts. This is 21st century enslavement. For the coastal city of Victoria, councillors without mandate for the Victoria Council municipality 2, they don't gather, say they want elect another mayor without mandate for inside the city. They say the one choose na Chief Ndive Wakangale Daniel would inform me say no man be vote them. That election organized by a foreign government no be valid. They no get no mandate for govern over our territory. An arrest warrant it could be issued by the War Council against Chief Ndive Waka as soon as he take up that position for be an enabler and collaborator for the recolonization of our territory. Make all citizens then take note. If anybody will assist for give a citizen arrest for ye, make sure say indicate it will be highly motivated. Still for Buea, the Catholic institution for Buea, they ran sue the bishop way they for inside Buea, Bishop Bibi Michael. They ran sending for Catholic Church their court. They accuse you for embezzlement, for illegally enter for inside the school. One of the school they for inside Buea, the Catholic University for Buea, say they take money for their bank account, and he also be the appoint people them for the management where be get the power since that school be registered under the Buea diocese. The corruption for the Catholic Church, the abuse of women, students by Catholic priests, it can be prevalent for our land, and as we see how the Catholic Church it continually side with the oppressor, and they use their pulpit for pass down anti-resistant messages. We will continue for to tell our people the true face of some of these people behind this masquerade. Why we will continue to support our Christian church, which the vast majority of our people are. Our people should never be taken for right by people who mask themselves behind the gospel but do not represent in their character the gospel of Christ that stands on the side of oppressed people, that speaks the truth, that exposes lies and call for accountability for the oppressor. Still for our capital, for Buea, the images that they come out for newspaper, it talk how La Republique it try for build the project where they call another multi-billion Buea reference hospital project. This project it be announced since 2017 with the amount of 12 billion CFA allocated for the reference hospital project will be supposed to be realized in Buea. Till today, not up to 10% of that project it can be realized, but the money can be withdrawn for bank. The next time our people that they see the so-called elite dressed in suit coming in convoys to come and clap, say that they want launch project in the name of our people, of helping our people, make them realize that these are all thieves which are selling the future of their children, maintaining them in destitute position, poverty, while they live large, giving up our territory to a foreign government and legitimizing the colonization of our territory. As they talk, kettle, it call pot say black. Meando, it laugh cocky, say the anti nego rope. This talk na for which one? This one na for the talk for the La Republique du Cameroon. As the whole war it condemn Russia for invasion for inside Ukraine, La Republique du Cameroon, them too they ran join, say they ran send letter by the Ministry of Defense where they call for returns to normalcy between Russia and Ukraine. The communique will be announced by La Republique, the Minister of Communication. It talks a peaceful settlement of dispute amongst nations has always been one of the fundamental principles of Cameroon foreign policy. It be lovable and it be an insult. Say La Republique du Cameroon, they go get a foreign policy where they call for peaceful settlement of dispute while they use war for suppress Ambazonians, their right of self-determination and banning of Ambazonian nationalism. As we talk for the beginning of this our podcast, the war they go through fundamental changes as Russia then finally invade a European country, Ukraine. The whole war then be shocked. Say for the 21st century, a sovereign state inside Europe it could be attacked by one of the veto members of the United Nations, the leader of Ukraine, President Zelensky, and the resistance of the Ukrainian people that inspired the whole war about the will for human beings for fight and defend their homeland against foreign invasion. The will of the Ukrainian people despite the might of Russia, to fight and be willing to die and sacrifice their life, including their sport athletes, including their celebrities, musicians, or former members of parliament, ex-president, none of the officials that abandoned their country for surrender against a mighty army of Russia, but they don't sit within their territory for fight and defend their country. It don't inspire even the Donetsk territory them, where the Russian, if they fight, say one can protect them, make them also rise up for fight for Ukrainian nationalism. This one, it don't push the war for the go through fundamental change, where it be very, very good for Africa. Before we get into that, we want to talk to the world. The West, it don't be guilty of committing the same violations of territorial integrity of Africa. Even after the war, it began create and agree the basis for the United Nations Charter, the African people's rights have never been respected. Our borders were cut and shaped in European capitals without any consultation that violates the very principle for which the world had agreed to build a new world order where every state will be treated equally. Whether you look at the case of Katanga, where the Belgium, in disregard of the self-determination of the people of the Congo to become independent, they went into Katanga for the purpose of extracting their minerals and securing their contracts in Congo to declare independent and create a war in the Congo that have killed millions of Africans, and the war continues till today. The Americans with the Monroe Doctrine that move sitting presidents in North America where they be elected democratically. As the war it come together for denounce Russia invasion with their stated intention for replace the democratically elected regime in Ukraine with a autocratic government, a puppet government where you go to support Kremlin. The whole war it doesn't stand for the principles of democracy over the principles of tyranny and autocracy. The war it doesn't stand against invasion in protection of sovereignty and territorial integrity. The war it nobody just condemn, but they take physical action for isolate Russia, with FIFA banning Russia from participating in its competition. The UEFA also it don't ban Russia for entertainment. The Eurovision it don't ban Russian participation, and Russia it be isolated both financially and by many entertainment industry. This one na a moment for the people of Ambazonia for remind the war, say they don't isolate Ambazonia, ban Ambazonia for the same reasons where they support Russia. This hypocrisy must be pointed to the war to prick their conscience to the plight of the Ambazonian people.
Freedom Square in every city of our country. Nobody's going to break us. We're strong. We're Ukrainians. Yesterday, 16 children were killed. Again and again, President Putin is going to say that is some kind of operation and we are hitting a military infrastructure. Where are our children? What kind of military factories do they work at? What?
That one the Ukrainian president, he talk Zelensky, he don't be seen as a hero for advocating for the self-defense for Ukraine. He talk about how Russia, he shoot schools, he kill picking them, while the president of Russia, he claims that he carry an operation against the Ukrainian military. Na similar case who we see for inside Ambazonia, we picking the baby kill from Garbu, Pobia, he talks he fight the Ambazonian fighters all across our territory. For Metaquata, 4 students where they go for read for GCE, then be killed, then be labeled as Amber Boys. All man for Ambazonia they be targeted randomly in the name say La Republique they fight now against Ambazonian fighters.
War has returned to Europe. Almost 30 years after the Balkan Wars and over half a century after Soviet troops marched into Prague and Budapest, civil defense sirens again went off in the heart of a European capital. Men, women, children are dying once again because a foreign leader, President Putin, decided that their country, Ukraine, has no right to exist. And we will never, ever let that happen and never, ever accept that. And if Putin was seeking to divide the European Union, to weaken NATO, and to break the international community. He has achieved exactly the opposite. We are more united than ever, and we will stand up in this war. That is for clear, that we will overcome and we will prevail. We are united and we stay united. We have endured 2 years of pandemic, and we all wished that we could focus on our economic and social recovery. But I believe the people of Europe understand very well that we must stand up against this cruel aggression. Yes, protecting our liberty comes at a price, but this is a defining moment, and this is the cost we are willing to pay, because freedom is priceless, honourable members. This is our principle. Freedom is priceless. And our union, for the first time ever, is using the European budget to purchase and deliver military equipment to a country that is under attack. 500 million euros for the European Peace Facility to support Vame, Slava, Ukraine.
So these are fundamental changes where they happen because a European country, it can be attacked, even though not be inside European Union. It changed the whole world. It revived the spirit of humanity. Even though we Africans wouldn't be at the bottom of the chain for international diplomacy, we must remember that Africa wouldn't always benefit from such conflict we did for Europe. In the beginning of the last century, the Europeans, they be take upon themselves the right for acquire sovereignty by the use of force and conquest in the period of imperialism. They be indulged in territorial aggrandizement, grabbing and scrambling over African land by the use of force as an acceptable way in international law to acquire territory. Little did they know that another European country will use that same policy, that same ideology way of thinking against Europe when Adolf Hitler decided also to do territorial aggrandizement because he was strong against European country that governized the whole world to stand up against Hitler and build a new war order where territorial aggrandizement is forbidden. Yet the Europeans had allowed influence over countries, ignoring Africans' territorial integrity because it suits their political agenda. Today they have woken up to a new war where the same thing that have been happening across the world is now happening at their doorsteps. As they put their acts together, we will call upon them to look at Africa as equal in states, as the world stand up for the rule of law, the respect of the United Nations Charter is the same thing we are asking of them. Respect the European Union Charter when it comes to the conflict between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon. The same value the Europeans are claiming to fight for in defense of the Ukraine. It is the same value that is at stake in Ambazonia. For over 240 Ukrainians that have died, the Europeans will mourn. For over 4,000, according to their own estimate, even though we know the number is about 30,000, the Europeans should look with Ambazonian with the same compassion as they look upon the Ukrainian people. And even more so, the Africans that stands with Ukraine should stand with Ambazonia. That should be our appeal, and that is our hope. And this new light, this new rejuvenation for the respect of the United Nations Charter brings hope and brings gladness to our heart that finally the world will wake up to the reality of the need for universal protection of sovereign right and the right of people to choose their own destiny without foreign intervention, and the obligation of all nations to defend those values for which the United Nations was founded upon and was built upon. For us, many Africans, we have suffered enough. Our pains have been ignored, and it's sometimes very difficult for us to understand how the West will be so cold when it comes to us Ambazonian, and how even us Africans will be so cold when it comes to ourselves. Perhaps we should also look on the wicked black man, the African wickedness upon Africa, the prosecutor of the ICJ, International Criminal Court, have opened the case of war crimes against Russia and its President Vladimir Putin in Ukraine. The same official had visited Ambazonia, met Agbobala, and we all know what transpired between them. He did not make any reference or open any case against Buea and Cameroon. While Cameroon abused Ambazonia, it is the John Frundi, it is the Kawalas, it is the political elite that are being sent to the white man land to tell them not to help us. While Ambazonian battle for self-determination, it is Ambazonia that keeps on writing letters to the United Nations asking them not to recognize or listen to one another. When the Ambazonia Governing Council make an application in Ompo for them to admit our state as a member of unrepresented countries, it was the IG that wrote a letter, and you have Barrister Ella in Europe that traveled to the office of Ompo to tell them not to admit Ambazonia because the application was made by Ayabachu, the head of the Ambazonian Governing Council. I remember when I had an interview with the Voice of America, the journalist called me and said that Chris Ano have sent threatening messages to them that why are they interviewing me, Capo Daniel, instead of him. The last time I was interviewed in the platform of Mimi Mefo, Chris Ano attacked Mimi Mefo that why is he interviewing me, Capo Daniel, instead of him, of the IG. Instead of our people fighting to liberate our country, people are fighting and running over each other to have exclusive right. Our own people will not support any movement if it does not personally benefit them or elevate them or even give them exclusivity in dominance. It's very sad. I remember I discussed with one Ambazonian celebrity when a comedian based in Douala. He tell me say for a show, he give Ambazonian elite within there for Douala free VIP ticket. Some of them, he looked in their eyes when he was making his joke. They were too proud to clap for him. Ambazonians were too proud to clap in a show where it is meant for people to clap because they feel that by clapping for somebody will elevate the person. That is the wicked black man syndrome we suffer as Africans. We cannot just blame the West without taking the responsibility of our own fighting. People who are not fighting for any principle, who make accusation without any substantiation, who think less of our people. We have a group of people who will prefer that Ambazonia should remain in slavery if it is not them that will liberate Ambazonia. There are people who will not support any other person, even if it means that that person is capable of delivering us freedom. The wicked black man syndrome, for me, pains me much more than the Europeans that have ignored our pain. As we appeal to the European, we appeal to the Africans, we also tell ourselves, are you so wicked? Are you so jealous? Are you so envious that you will stand on the way for independence, that you will not support independence because you want to maintain bigmanism, Ambazonian elitism? You don't want the common man on the street to rise up because we have lived in a culture where people will be killed because their houses are bigger than the palace, where people's children will be killed because the Mbanya own children have prospered and traveled abroad. We have to solve and resolve this issue. We have to embrace love. We have to embrace collective prosperity as the way forward, while we appeal to the conscience of the war for our liberation and recognition of our rights. God bless you. Capo Daniel, signing off.